What's up, guys? Doug here, Nick here. We're going to be talking about some of our common problems that we had with manuals, how we overcame them, and hopefully you'll be able to take a look at your manuals and get better at them by learning from our mistakes.
We're actually at the skate park right now, but we're going to go out to the parking lot because parking lots are a great place to learn manuals. And just so you know, a parking lot is good for multiple reasons. One, it's got lines so you can measure your manuals. Two, it's got a line that you can use as a reference point. And three, parking lots are generally smooth. Learning to manual where there's lots of big cracks and inconsistencies is really difficult. So we're gonna go into this nice parking lot right outside.
Nice, smooth parking lot. Let's go. Why are these lines important?
So lines are really beneficial when learning to manual because one, when you start your manual, it's nice to have a reference point, something that when you're going to initiate your manual, you have like a designated point. You have a point to start every time you do the manual. You can loop back around, start right there. It allows you to, set up and pop into your manual consistently every time. And then also, it's really easy to progress and do more spaces, more lines. That's why a parking lot's good. Now, a big problem that I had with manuals was not initiating the manual consistently and properly. When I would be going to initiate it, I would be standing up like this, and then I would try to pull diagonally down. And that is ineffective because your weight transfer is not as powerful that way. So what you really want to do when you're initiating is instead of going diagonal down this way, you want to get down and then back. And it's such a smoother initiation when you're going down and back. You got to think of it like an L shape. You're sitting down and then sending the weight back. You're not cutting it. You're not cutting the corner. So let me show you kind of like what a bad initiation looks like. And right now we're only talking about the hips. We're not talking about anything else.
Why was that one bad?
So you can see that one's bad because I literally just was standing up and then just pulled backwards. And yes, I had enough power to get the front wheel off the ground, but there was no control. There was no control in that. And if I were to do 5 of those in a row, different things are gonna happen every time. So now I'm gonna do an L shape. I'm gonna compress down and then go backwards. And so you can see there that when I go down and then back, my front wheel doesn't need to get as high because my weight is actually now in the right spot and I'm able to start holding it. So I'm gonna go around one more time. I'm gonna do a bad one, circle around and do a good one, okay?
I'm gonna walk in circles.
So this one is bad. Again, see, there's no control when you pull down like that. Now we're gonna do a good one. And again, we're just talking about the initiation. I know it wasn't a long manual, but you gotta get the weight down and then back. Now, an exercise you can do to improve this is just practice the down and back really slowly. So I'm not going for distance whatsoever. I'm just gonna keep looking at my line. I'm gonna compress down and I'm just gonna go back. And like I said, you don't have to get fully up into the manual. You're just practicing that technique. You're going down, back. And you can see even at a slow speed, you can start to get control of your manual. And now another tip with the initiation is to make sure that when you do that L shape, the arms and the legs extend out straight. Think of punching both arms straight and think of digging your heels into the ground as you are sitting back in the manual. So I'm gonna compress down and then I'm gonna Superman punch and dig my heels into the ground. See that? You don't want to be going like this. That's not going to get you nowhere.
And with that, by him getting into it in that way, it sets him up for a more consistent manual each time. So when he pops into it that exact same way, then all he has to tinker with to hold the manual is his weight shift. If he's getting into it with his arms and like everything's a little different, he's gonna have a really hard time actually controlling the manual. So that's a big problem that a lot of people have initially.
And I know a big problem that Doug had when he was doing manuals, and he's gonna come in and talk to you about it. Once you've initiated, Doug always had a problem leaning or turning without actually wanting to turn, which is a big problem, right?
If you want to, that's awesome. But sometimes you try a manual and then you're rolling towards the 12-foot deep end of the bowl and you don't want to be headed that direction in a manual. So yeah, I had a really big issue with that. And it was like, it's cool because you can go and just manual and turn in a circle if you really want to, but not when you're learning manuals. You want to be able to stay straight along the line. So you want to pick up in the middle of one set of lines and stay in a straight line as far as you can. That's how you judge if you're actually progressing with a manual, and that is how you judge your distance, right? Your distance in a circle is not really very measurable. And what happens when you start to go in a direction, if you're having this problem, you're probably messing with your arms. Now, in the manual video we have in bike school, we make sure to stress your arms need to be locked when you're getting into it. You can bend your arms to save the manual, but that's a little more advanced. But when you're getting into it, if you pop back into the manual and have one arm pulled in a little more than the other arm, it's gonna naturally pull you in that direction. So I'm gonna come right at the camera. It's hard to ride and talk, I don't know how you're doing it. I'm gonna come right at the camera and I'm gonna pull up into my manual. My left arm's gonna be locked, but my right arm's gonna be a little bent, and just watch what happens. So naturally, I started going that way. That's a weird way to turn. And you wanna go straight. So here, watch. This one I'm gonna pull up, both arms completely even. And you see I'm just locked in a straight line. And then we'll go in a circle. Should we talk about how to go in a circle or leave that for a different video? Okay. Yeah, and so the other half of that is, obviously if your arms are tweaked, you're gonna go in that direction. But the other thing is your hips. If your hips are a little tweaked, it's gonna pull you in that direction also. So you really wanna be consistent how you're popping into the manual. Arms locked, hips going straight back. If you throw your hip over towards the right side of your bike, it's gonna send you that way. And if you send it over to the left side, it's gonna send you the other way. And you don't want that to happen, especially when you're learning these manuals. So make sure your hips are going straight back, arms are locked, and then you're gonna be going in a straight line. And that's how I kind of fixed that issue with me. Some people, Nick had a problem controlling the manual, and this is what we're gonna talk about next.
Big problem with controlling the manual is that your front end keeps dropping. This is simply because you don't have enough weight on the back end of the bike. And when you're in a manual, the way to control this is by pushing your legs, digging your heels more into the ground, and that's gonna set your hips back, giving you more leverage on the bike.
So one of the other issues that people have with the manual, if you're not dropping your front tire, you're probably looping out. And generally both of these go hand in hand when you're getting better at controlling manuals. We tell our bike school members to loop out on purpose because right before that loop out point is going to be your balance point. It's really important to know where that is, but we're not going to talk about that in this video. We're just going to talk about how to avoid looping out if that's happening to you. And the reason the loop out happens is because you are leaning way too far back. You've tipped over the balance point. And one thing that happens is people are pulling their arms in way too much, which we already said, don't do that. So if you're doing that, you're still watching the video, like stop, go ride your bike, quit doing that, okay? But if you're leaning way far back in the manual, all you need to do, it's literally this simple. You've got to get your weight away from back here and move it closer over the top of the tire. This is gonna cause the front wheel to drop. So I'm gonna do a couple examples. I'm gonna loop out, and you're gonna watch when I loop out, watch how far back my weight is, okay? But okay, so watch these examples. So we're in the manual, and now my weight's way far back, and I just died, okay? When you're in the manual and you're about to loop out, you just gotta move your weight a little bit forward. So I'm gonna do a manual right here, and just watch my body position, watch how I move my weight back to get my front wheel up, but then I move it forward again to get it lower a little bit to keep in that balance point. Should I? And here you can see that I'm leaning more back, and here you can see I'm leaning more forward. And so these are the most common manual issues. If you want personalized feedback from both of us on your manuals, consider becoming a bike school member so that we can watch your attempts and give you that feedback to help you become a better BMX rider or mountain bike rider. You just be better on bikes, okay? So hope you guys enjoyed the video, and have a great rest of your day.